Okay, YouTubers, you're not going to believe this. I got it figured out. I'm going to show you today the flux capacitor. All band flux capacitor. You're not going to believe this. I've been working on something, I've been working on my magnetic loop. I got it to part 3, and I got to doing some thinking and remembered some stuff that an old physicist told me. He worked on a cyclotron, I think it was, and he knew a lot about magnetics. And he told me back in my CB days, I built a magnetic loop back in my CB days, and of course it wasn't nothing near like this, but he told me that magnetic fields have to work together, for not being exact words, but that's the way they have to interact. And it got me thinking. He told me a lot of other stuff, and I got to thinking, how in the heck can I get this magnetic loop to work on the on the bands that I want? And I didn't want to have to cut through sizes, make different size loops and stuff. It was getting monotonous because I tested like all different kinds of diameters and stuff, and different capacitance just to see, and it was very difficult. But what I have found, you're not going to believe. I totally took my stuff apart to make the connections inside here, so I could show you that this is really happening. I was shocked. I've never seen anybody do it. I've watched a lot of magloop videos and on YouTube, and I've been talking a lot. I watched so many, they were giving me shit back from like 2007 and stuff. And I've never seen anybody do what I did to this magnetic loop. And I got it working. It works, and I'm going to show you. You're gonna not believe this. So let me show you the magnetic loop, okay? There it is. It works. It's coupled. I did get the coupling to work, and the measurements, it's got its own coax, all right? Its own capacitor. This one still works also the same way. This one, the big one, has not been changed in any way. I did add some noise, a lot more noise reduction. At least it covers the coax. I don't like it as well. These are a lot better, these little toroids. That's a 43. Now, building this, there's 2 laws of magnetism, or electromagnetics, that you got to know. And that is Faraday's law, okay? And Lenz's law, okay? And one other thing that you need to know is what flux is. You've all seen the Back to the Future video, the flux capacitor, right? Well, there you go. That's a flux capacitor, and I'm about to prove it. Flux is the stuff that works inside magnetic fields. It's the stuff you can't see. It's the magic, what have you. They don't know if it can go through, if it's stationary or if it actually moves. They don't know that. At least that's what Wikipedia says. I had to read that to make sure. But I'm going to show you guys, no kidding, that one's on its own coax. It's on its own feed over there to the radio. There's 2 of them plugged in. Both magnetic loops are plugged in there. They're not going outside, so I'm not trying to trick you or nothing. They're both hooked up right here, and it goes into the SDR. What I'm about to do, I can't believe it works, but it does. I'm going to take the capacitor from this one that is in no way hooked to this loop, and I'm going to make it work on that loop. You're not going to believe it. And it works. And this is the cool thing. I've been playing around with it all damn day. I couldn't hardly sleep last night because it worked. I got it working. I didn't know how to do this video. So no kidding, with nothing to connecting these two loops together other than that magnetic field, right? I'm going to move that capacitor using that loop. You're not going to believe it, but here it is. Right there is our capacitor. It's sitting on 80 meters right now. That is noise, okay? I'm sitting on noise right there, but that is the capacitor. Now I'm going to fire it up here. This is the control wire, okay, going to the magnetic loop. So I'm going to turn it. We've got it on. We're going to turn our voltage down so I can move it slow for you. Now, watch that screen. Okay. I'm using the big loop. Okay. That's where the big capacitor's hooked to. Okay. Right there. That's what this one's hooked to. That big capacitor's hooked to that big loop, and it has its own coax connection here. No other connection. Okay, guys. That's it. There's our capacitor right there. We're going to move it so you can see it moving. There you go, all right? And we're going to stop it right there. Okay. Now, I'm going to switch over to the little loop. Now, when I switch over to the little loop, that should go away. There's nothing connected to that capacitor on that little loop. Are you ready? It's still there. You ready? Okay. We switched our switch over to the little loop. Are you ready for this? It's tuning. Look at that. That big capacitor is working through that little loop. Do you guys need to think about this for a minute. That's huge. There is no connection. None. Except a magnetic field. And it works. It resonates. I got all kinds of signals coming in. You can see on 80, I'm on the little loop, and you can see the signals busting through. Through the noise. Granted, I have noise, but you can see the signals busting through. They're on the scope. And it resonates. Believe it or not, I can jump on that big capacitor while I'm on this loop. Now, here's the cool thing. Since the little loop is still hooked up, see, it's the one connected. This one's not even connected. Okay. Now, let me show you something, just so you can see that, to make sure. We just took it out of the way there. Look at that big capacitor. It's still working. That shouldn't work. Check it out. It's still moving. And that antenna ain't even hooked up. You can see that capacitor is only connected right here. That's it. To this big loop. And it's not now. Its coax right here is not hooked up. That capacitor, that big capacitor, using flux, okay, mind you, that invisible force is now connected to that loop and working. All right. That is amazing, guys. I've never seen anybody on YouTube do that, and I've never seen anybody yet build that has done that. That's awesome. That's totally awesome. It worked. I finally did it. It was I couldn't hardly sleep last night. I was so excited about it. It took a lot of days of testing with that damn cardboard one, and realizing that the length really isn't the issue here. It does affect resonance in a way, but if you pump a ton of capacitance into a magnetic field like that, you can make it happen. That's to me, that's amazing, you know. Plus, what's cool is if I switch this back, let me plug this one back up. There you go, just so you can see. You can see it kind of messing up that ground. Okay, now I'm gonna switch this one. Got it hooked back up. Now you see that noise floor, but you see the peaks get better. You see you get more modulation through there. Okay, that's because that bigger loop is bigger. It's going to resonate a little different than that little loop. But the totally cool thing is, the little loop's not hooked up now, right? Okay, we're on the big loop now. Okay, now we'll go over here to the little loop's capacitor. And grab a hold of it here. Now watch the screen. I'm just going to turn it. You can see it moving the big loop. Just barely. I don't know if you guys can see it or not. As I scoot it over, it moves it just to the left and then brings it right back to the right. It just like maneuvers it. You can see it on the scope. Just a little bit. It just nicks it left and right. So it is still coupled, you know, of course. And I was like, wow. So you can use both capacitors. That is awesome. I've never seen anybody on YouTube get this to work, or you know, get anything like this working. So, I mean, this is awesome. I'm gonna sit down and we're gonna scroll through the band with it, and I'll show you. Because if you guys stop and think about it, that shouldn't work, you know, and it does. There's nothing but a magnetic field making that capacitor work on that loop. That's absolutely amazing. Really, what I think it's doing is, I think this bigger one is moving the bubble, that magnetic field bubble, and that's affecting that little one, the little one. And you know, not a lot is known about magnetic fields and stuff, but I'll tell you one thing, this is pretty cool. So yeah, you guys see it, you know, that big capacitor is still working off that other antenna. There's the big one, still there. When you switch it over, the noise drops out, which is even better if you stop and think about it, because really what you're doing, okay? And this is how it was explained to me by that physicist. He was like, okay, you got this magnetic field here, right? And then you got this magnetic field. Well, they don't want to clash, right? They by physics and stuff, they got to work together. So what happens is, when I'm switching that antenna over, that little one is saying, hey, big one, let me borrow your magnetic field. And it borrows its magnetic field. And then vice versa, if you switch it over the other one, then the big one's saying, hey, well, you got some more resonance right here. Let me borrow your little field. Or let me absorb your field. You know, maybe it's absorption, you know. Well, let me absorb you into this one, and then no, we'll switch it over and now we'll absorb. Who knows? You know, if you know, comment. That would be awesome. But I knew I had to figure out, because when I built it, it didn't work right. It had a lot of noise, and I had a lot of background peaks. So where it looked like the backside of the capacitor, but it was in the background of this. It was weird. And Lenz's law came in there, because I had these reversed. I had them reversed of each other. That field, you know, when you wrap your finger around it, that they tell you about that law, you know, well, that's the way the voltage flows, is where your thumb is. Well, it can flow that way or this way. It mattered when you're coupling, apparently when you're coupling these together, you need to make sure that your shield sides are on the same side of the antenna. In other words, so your both of your center connections are going off the same side, like that. Somehow it really works better when it's got that that center going the same way. If I reversed that, I had it reversed, and it didn't. It was odd. It gave me noise. It still showed the peaks and stuff, still showed the capacitor, but it had a lot of other background crap in it. And you'll see when we go up the band what'll happen. But let me show you the magic again, guys. Look at this. Think about it. That capacitor, it's not even hooked up to that antenna, and it's showing right there. That's amazing. Look, we're on the little one. And then I'll move it. I'll show you. There she goes. It's still hooked up, and it's still working. That's amazing. And you can see the peaks of modulation in it. You know, that's serious modulate. That's like pure dB. It's just like honk. But that's amazing, isn't it? Nothing is connected. Think about it, except that magnetic field. That magic. That Puff the Magic Dragon. Remember I said it before? You put the puff into it, man. You get the big capacitor. Put the puff into it. And then you can use that little one for fine tuning, but it really, what I found surfing around earlier, I was just going to this big one and just swapping back and forth between the loops. You might have one guy that you couldn't hear. You can swap it over to the other. Because it's, like I said, when you switch it over, that little one's saying, oh, okay, well, you got a bigger magnetic field than me, so let me borrow yours. And it jumps there and there, and it does its cooperation thing because they have to, you know. And then vice versa, you know, when you switch it over. It's amazing. I'm excited. I'm going to put a title on this one. I built a flux capacitor, or, you know, or something, and see if I can't get a lot of hits off of it. But that is cool. I've never seen anybody on YouTube build one, not like this, and it work, you know, like that, and it actually works. And we're going to do some signal searching, guys, because again, and I'm going to scroll this through the whole band so you guys can see. It picks up everything. You can, it's amazing. I was shocked that it did all the bands up through, and it did. And I built this, and this is included in the price that I paid for this wire, because I shortened it. On my first video, I had a 5-foot loop, and it crashed and bent. And yeah, I've had some difficulties with this, but this is the same material, this here, and I used the same size material on both loops. So I haven't tried it, you know, using a thinner material versus one or the. I'm sure it'll probably still work because it's in the magnetic field. You ain't gonna change that unless you're breaking the laws of physics. So yeah, guys, there it is. So you can see, you know, I was just running over to the switch, and I hooked it up last night, and I couldn't believe the big capacitor was there. And when I reached over and tuned that, and it moved that, and I was on that little loop, I knew I did something big, because that was awesome. And you can see the modulation in it. So see that little loop. If I unplug the other one, I think it's borrowing the bigger magnetic field off that bigger loop, and allowing modulation to come in. Because in no way that 21-inch antenna is picking up 80. But, you know, it could, I guess, if it resonated like to a quarter, maybe not even a quarter wave, eighth wave or something. But that's amazing, guys, and I can't wait to show you the other video. I'm gonna pause, stop this one, and just connect it to it, and make this a long video of what we're doing here. And you know, I don't have it grounded outside. I think if I grounded both of them outside on the ground box and brought it in, it would help with that little bit of noise here that you see, those little bitty peaks there. So, but I'm doing this testing because I'm just testing. You know, guys know I've been working on this for a while, so, and I got it all hooked up with no, this one's got noise reduction, but this one don't, other than right here. So, and these don't work very well, but if you put a lot of them on there, it does. But one of my subscribers commented on that and told me that, so I put a shitload more on there, and it works. It helped. So, but I really need one here, a choke here. But as you can see, my chokes are kind of used up at the moment with the outside hookups. So, yeah, guys, that works. You can build this. I mean, this is doable, and this is all band. I'm going to show you here. I'm going to work you through it, and I'm sure if I played around with this size of this one, that you could probably get better resonance on the different bands. Because some of the bands I noticed that you get the little squeakers, but you don't get the peak ones. So it's probably not really resonant there, but the capacitance is making it work. So, yeah, so what we'll do is, I'm gonna pause this, and we'll fire up we'll get the homemade tripod out, and we'll get it hooked to the TV. I can't run OBS and share my screen and run the SDR at the same time. My little old junk computer down there just it just can't handle it. As you can see, it's got CD-ROMs, and you guys are like, what are those? But yeah, that thing's like 15 years old, and I've kept it running. Yeah. So it's a dual core. Wow. But yeah, that's why. So that one, it won't run. So I have to point the camera at the screen like this, like you guys have seen. But it'll definitely show you what you're wanting to see. It's an all band, baby. Right there. It will work on every frequency, and it's not a super monstrous thing, but it does take up a size of a curtain there, lengthwise. But yeah, let's get this on pause, and then we'll fire it to get the tripod set up, and we'll get it working. Okay, I'll see you in a bit. Okay, YouTubers, here we go. That's got it working all right. All right. As you can see, we got the antennas, the mag loop antenna hooked up. There's our capacitor, our big capacitor. All right. I've got the remote control for the remote tuning over here, so I can get it out of the way for you guys. I'm going to be switching back and forth between the big loop. You can see that's the big loop, and then that's the little loop right there. Okay, we're going to be switching back and forth between those. But I want to walk you up through the band, and so you can see by these two antennas being coupled together, what can happen. And I just stumbled on it, and it seems to cover all the bands. So we'll walk through here. So this is our capacitor right here. Okay, my capacitor ends about right here. That's the best I can get. Okay, now we can tune the little capacitor, and if we tune it, you can see the screen, the noise floor drop out. See there? I was hiding it from you guys. Now you can see all the signals coming through. Okay. You can see the noise floor. We're sitting at 90, and I'm not even running this antenna grounded. So that's pretty good. The Q, if we touch it, you can see it just drop a little bit. There it goes. You can see the noise floor raising up right there when I touch it. So we're on the little loop now, okay? And then I'll switch this over to the big loop. It just raises the noise floor because it's such a big capacitor. But remember, we want to be on the little loop so we can turn the big capacitor, the flux capacitor. So let's scroll over here. We'll leave 80 over there, and then we'll move the mag loop. We'll move the big capacitor. Remember, we're on the little loop, so it's not connected, but it still works. So we're going to scroll through. We'll speed it up a little bit here as it rolls through there. Okay, we'll stop it over there. We'll scroll over. Now, mind you, I still got capacitance here in the little one, the little capacitor. And you can see it bumping the noise floor. And it also will move the big loop, the big loops capacitor a little bit. And they're not even hooked together. That's what's weird. That when they're magnetically coupled in that magnetic field, it works. That's no. As far as I know, nobody's done that. Nobody's even made that or built it. This is two capacitors coupled together, working together. Two magnetic loops. That's and of different size. They're not even the same symmetrically. So. And I don't think you'd want one, so, both of them symmetric. You wouldn't get any benefit out of it. This way you can run a small loop and a big loop together. And still use the capacitance within. There's a lot of implications here because if you started with a base of a big antenna and a big capacitor like I did, you can put any little capacitor or any little bitty loop in there you want, any size, as long as it would couple. You would have the ability to tune almost 1,000 puff. And you couldn't do that without totally rebuilding a single loop. You'd have to totally rebuild it to do that. So let that sink in. That's amazing. So let's move this over. Keep going. Okay, we're over there now. Let's grab our band and walk it over. You can tell by the frequency we're going up here. Okay, there's our capacitor. Just took it off screen there, so let's move it in. Right there. Now, looky here, there's 40 meters. And back up to it. It's all working. I'm on the little loop. Here's the big loop. You can see how much more noise that is. That's probably a bad band condition tonight. But that's by removing the noise, remember we want our noise floor down and our signals up. And that's what we're getting with this coupled loop. I can just switch to the other one. If that's all I had to work with, I probably wouldn't listen, right? Because that noise floor is just way too high for you to see any signals. But all of a sudden, now that this other loop's in there, all I gotta do is flip a switch. And it's actually readable, and that's two bands already. So let's go up. We haven't even zoomed in yet. Okay, there's 30. So let's step it over to 30. Let's walk it over. There it is. You see some resonance come in. There's a guy talking right there. Now we can switch over to the big one. Still see the peak over here. Not as noisy over here though, you see. Okay, let's go back to the little loop. Remember, they're coupled together. They're in their own magnetic field, sharing their thoughts and their workings. And I think that's why this is working. Now, you notice here we got two peaks. Okay, check this out. We got two peaks. Watch this. I'll move the little ones. We're on the little loop on the switch. Check that out, guys. Let me move it slower. There it is. It's going right in with that other capacitance. I'm trying to stop it right in there. Right there it is. It's going right in there with it. It's sharing. And I'm sure if you changed your numbers of your capacitors, if you built one of these, if you changed the number of your capacitors, you would get different results in different places of the band. Okay, so because each one's going to be different, but I'm just showing you what mine's doing. All right, so that's 3 bands now. Okay, let's go up to 20. Let's move our antenna up to 20. Whoa, that was fast. That knob got turned up there. Okay, let's rush over there and grab it. Now remember, we left 100 puff of capacitance off the little loop back here. Okay. Now we're still going with our big capacitor. Now, my capacitor usually run out whenever I hit right about here, 13.3, 13.2. That's where whenever I was running that capacitor on that single big loop by itself, that's where it would run out. Okay. You can see it right there. It's starting to run out. I've got more. It give me more area to play. Now I can move this one too, the little one, the little capacitor, and bring in even more resonance. And you notice we're getting into 20 right here. Okay, I left it over there for a purpose because you got to see this. I'm going to show you. We're going to bring 20 in to the middle. Look at all that resonance. I've never gotten 20. If you watch my videos, I'm so excited because I've never had 20 before, and it's coming in. I was listening to it a little bit today, and I didn't change anything except that little loop. That I can turn it to my big loop, and you can see it's still there, but it's so noisy you can't see through the noise. Just a little peaker every now and then, but that's because it's not to ground, I think. But that's the little loop right there. Okay, now we're not done yet. I'm going to leave remember our big peak is right here. Okay, then we can bring it over a little bit. Let's slow it down a little. Okay, now you notice it disappeared. If you see right here on the scope, it went in right here and it collapsed right there, all right? But look at what's right here. That's our other 100 puff of capacitance. Now, looky here. I'm going to bring them together. You remember it stopped right there. Now, here's the thing though. I can get modulation and resonance on 20 if this one's over this way or this way. I can't get it whenever that back side of that big capacitor is right here, okay? And we got our peak of our 100 one, our 100 puff capacitor being able to tune over the top of that. So you get better resonance if you're not parked right on there. You get a little bit better resonance if you peel off to one side or the other. But there's 20 meters now, okay, that we can get. Now we ain't done. This is awesome. Let's scroll up. I mean, way up. Look at here, 17. Now, we'll hit our switch on our big capacitor. Remember, we're still sitting on our switch for our little loop, and that big capacitor is still working. No connection. It's doing its thing in a magnetic field. Here we go. Here it comes. Da, 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 da. I've got the speed pretty low so that it can come in slow. A little bit slower. Come on. You might think, it ain't working. It ain't working. It is. Trust me. I'll speed it up a little bit. Come on. Come on, big girl. Where you at? Oh, you know what? I bet. Let's do some double checking here. I think it's over here. It's probably sitting over here by 15. Now I'll show you. It still works. Let's go back to 17 here. We'll get on our little one and we'll give it some more. Whoa, there we go. Oh yeah, baby. You see, the big one puffed out, but the little one caught up and said, oh, wait a minute, I can use your big magnetic field and give it some more puff. Isn't that cool? There's another band, 17 meters. Okay, we're gonna go up. Look at the modulation on fit. Now that's probably some shortwave too, but let's see if our big capacitor run out of puff. Are we coming in here? Let's see. Let it spin. Oh, looky there. There it is. There it is. Look at those peaks. That's huge. Still resonating. This is still working. And if you were on a single loop, this wouldn't work like this. I know, I've tried. But using that magnetic field, coupling those two together, it's using both of those resources of the diameter and the capacitance together. It's a two tuned circuits working together. That's what it is. Now, watch this. I'll hit the little puff, the little one. You can see it. Just can't compete with that big one. But it puts it there. So literally, I've got two antennas resonating between the band. You're going to pick up everything that's there. If somebody's talking, you're going to hear them. That's amazing. This baby is all. I'm going to show you. I've said it before. It's all band. By doing it this way, it pulls every one of them in. You got capacitance everywhere. There's 12 meter, and it looks like we're already sitting on it, but I think that's noise. Let me move the little one and see. Yeah, that's noise. Okay, so there's our big one coming in. You can see it. It's starting to puff out. You see how it doesn't kind of come to a peak? It just kind of boils over like you know, a small little dome. Okay, so let's pull that down and run our big one and see if our big one picks it up. Oh, there went the backside. Come on around. Oh, there's the backside. There it is, right there. Let me move it. See it? That's the backside of it. That's coming in. See it fighting each other back here? That's that other capacitor. But look, here comes our big boy. Right here. Guess what, guys? You got 12 meter too. Look at all that resonance. Let's switch it to the big one. The big one even resonates, so that it's sharing its resonance. Those two antennas are magnetically coupled together, sharing their resonance. And I can still tune the little one. But it really just brings in more noise, so I tune it to the back side of that little one whenever that big one's running. Okay, let's go up. Let's see what we can do. There's another band. Oh, there's CB band. I bet I won't work here. I tried it earlier, and I think I got the little one to go to give me some resonance, but the big one, I don't know if I got it down there. Let's see. Let's throw our big one in there. Oh, sorry about that. That's my dog. He's got emphysema, poor thing. Oh, did I miss it? Okay, let's scroll through and see if our big one will come up here. If it may be puffing out, and you'll see that peak just drop as it rolls forward because it'll puff out. I'm thinking we're puffed out there. Let me drop the other one. Let's drop the noise floor, and then we can see if our big one's puffing out. That's what's so cool about this too. You can tune both of them, and I'm only working off one. And it's still working like it's together. Okay, it looks like we might have something small creeping back here. Oh, there it was. Right there it is. Okay, now we're resonating, see? By both of them working together, that little one says, oh, hey, you can resonate there. Because I know my big one resonates on CB because I've used it. But I'm not using the big one. Look, I'm using that small one. We're still switched to the small one. So it is sharing. I'm wondering if you can hook like 3 or 4 of these together with different capacitors and maybe even get even better across. I don't know. I just found this out, guys. You're literally, I was so excited whenever I found out. Look at that. There's a big peaker right there. So see, our capacitor's right here, but it's almost puffed out. It's almost flat leveled out. So the only capacitance we got is the little one, and I'm turning it now. There it is. But if you ask me, it drowns. I've tested with this enough. If you raise that noise floor, you drown out the weaker signals. Where if you're sitting noise floor of 90 right here, you can see those. See, they wouldn't be peaking up above the noise. That's a good. So now there's 11 meter, guys. Okay, let's go on up. Now we're gonna hit 10 meter, and that's my curse. You can see it. I have no idea what that is. But I'll show you. That is backwards modulation. That's huge, whatever it is, and it just drowns my 10 meter out. And it don't matter what I've tried shutting off the electricity and everything, and it just does that. It does resonate. You can see it works. I can bring in the little one there. See it raising the noise floor, but you know, you're not going to talk there. I'm not going to talk there anyway. Not with that noise around my neighborhood. Okay, we can try the big one. And there it is. Right there, it's starting to get puff again. Starting to gain. Rolls right through it. We're almost to the backside of it. And to be honest, there's not much above here, but if I'll scroll through so you can see where this thing resonates. You're not going to talk up here or anything like that. You might listen to something, but that big one's still working. You can see it. And then we'll move the little one. So it's still working, see? You're going to pull signals out no matter what. Let's scroll up. Look at all those signals. That's AM, shortwave stuff. I don't know. There's our big capacitor right there. Sitting at 36. I can probably move it left. Let's see. Yep, there we go. Or right. Now take a look. You can see up here by the frequency we're kind of out of the range. But check it out, 50. Right at 50, 6 meters. That's the RTL-SDR going a little funky. It's duplicating the channels because there's so much capacitance. It starts duplicating the channels. It's called overlap. That's not 6 meter, by the way. So that's where it runs out. When you run out of about 50, you know, and then you go to VHF. So as you can see, every band we was able to resonate on. The only one that was difficult was 20 And that's just because those capacitors started overlapping each other right there. But it's still modulated. I was listening to it. I was listening to little squeakers today. So let's just drop her back to medium wave here. Now, it shows something on 60, and I wasn't able to tune to it, but I'll try with you guys and see. But you can see the little capacitors working, but unless there's nobody talking, there's not much resonance there. That may be somebody right there. And there. Let me use the big one. You can see the back side of it working here now. It didn't before. So that is different. That big capacitor's coming down here now. Look at there. That's a little bit of resonance right there. It's hitting the back side of that big capacitor is what it's doing. You can see it when it comes back in this way. Oh, there it is. See how it just puffed out. So, but it looks like maybe we're getting 160 also. That looks like modulation to me, not noise. But that's all bands, baby. Not to mention, I want to show you guys, so you know I'm not messing around with the setup or nothing. That's just the way it was. We were on the little loop. See, we're turned over there to the little loop. And then we got our big capacitor down there is working the little loop. And these two loops are working together in symmetry somehow, and you're able to tune across all the bands there, you know. It's amazing. I knew last night, whenever I got them coupled together, and they coupled, and I switched that switch over, and that big capacitor was sitting there still and didn't move. And then when I reached over and hit the switch to turn it, and it turned, I knew. I was like, oh my gosh, that's not supposed to do that. But and then I started messing with coming up the bands and playing with it going up the bands, and it was working everywhere. And that's when I knew. I was like, this is kind of big, because if you're looking for a receive antenna, this one will do it for you. And it's inside. You don't have to put this bastard outside. You can do like I did, put it in a dang flower pot with some concrete. Now, I don't have a motor for this one, and I don't think I'd ever motor it, to be honest with you. You don't move it that often. You're moving this big one a lot, because if this big one couples with that, you know, like it does with this little one, that little one's going to puff out way before this one. So, like I said, that's what I did showing you guys there. That's what I did. I just started down low and we just went up, and that's what I did last night. And I knew this was big, because think of what you can do. The other implications here. I got a monster capacitor there, right? Think about this. You can think of the 3-foot loop, the bigger loop, as a platform. Then you can stick any damn size you want in there, and just do like I do. Just stick it on a pole, and look, you can just pull it off there. Okay, it just comes off. And then you can make another one of these that's small, or try different sizes, and use the same capacitor with a different size, and see if that's a difference. But this one makes a great little radio finder thing. You can hold it in your hand like a big wand, search for signals. It works great. I found some noise last night, and I definitely know where it's at. It's coming from my neighbor, because I took this, held it over there to the window. But like I said, if you pull this one away, that coupling for that capacitor goes away, and that's basically how I figured it out. That and that dang Lenz's law, getting the connectors the same way. You have to make sure you get that hot flowing the same way on both loops. You can do it the other way, but it's there we go. I've got it hooked back up. Okay. There it is. And all that like I said, that big capacitor is right there is not hooked up to that little loop, and it's, you guys see it was working. This is great, really, because now you've got all band that you can listen to. Now I have tried this out on VHF. VHF is harder to tune, guys. You can't see the peaks at all. You have to go by the signal meter, and then these RTLs are so slow on it, you go past it, and the magnet loops are so high Q that it's really hard. You almost need a radio to do it. You actually watch the signal meter on the radio to do it. I haven't tried that yet. I got a radio on the way, but I haven't got it yet. So as soon as I get that, I'll get it hooked up, and then I'm pretty for sure 21 inches, what this loop is, the secondary loop, will do 2 meter. I'm pretty for sure. So I'll have to test that out whenever I get the loop, but that'll be a couple of weeks away. I've been working so hard on this one, trying to figure out how to get that big capacitor to work, using those Faraday's law. That's kind of where it fell in, because I knew if I could change the magnetic field of that one and couple them together, then that should work. And it did. It coupled to it, and that's what you guys have experienced like I have. So like I said, no connection other than a magnetic field flux. The flux in that field, magnetic field working, is seeing that capacitance there and there, both of those capacitors. And that's just amazing.